Hit that like, hit that subscribe. This is the HUD Run It Back Philly live collab show. Come talk some Sixers with us. We promise. Not for much longer. Let's go. This ain't the fuck like oh, this thing he stinks.
Oh shit!
It's gone.
Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes. Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio.
Welcome in, everybody. It's time for me to get a new mouse. We appreciate you joining us, the HUD Radio Run It Back Philly live collab show. We do it every Monday. Well, we've been trying to do it every Monday. It's the downtime. These are the dog days. So if you don't see us a Monday or two, we're out living life. All right, we're out in the streets a little bit. It's warm out. Enjoy yourselves. All right, get in a pool. Get yourself a dunk. Tis the season. Ryan Brodo, DJ Eastwood, Run It Back Philly. I'm Tom Arnone. Everybody out there, welcome in. We are brought to you by our doc, Make Them Yours, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill locations. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Tonight's Phillies first and second, 2 outs here, bottom 8th. We'll circle around the NBA, give our Eastern Conference offseason rankings, and our main topic is going to be expectations for James Harden and the Sixers. That's a combo. And that's brought to you by Manscaped. And you can get 20% off and free shipping with the code A2D and no intro. So you can do either one. You can do either one, A2D or no intro at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life. Clean the boys up, people. Clean them up. Shave her up. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I know it's Manscaped, but I gotta believe, I don't have inside information on this, but I gotta believe, the lady in your house could clean herself up with it too. It's a great device. So I'm just guessing. I don't know if she's gonna have we're not gonna do this. I don't know if she's gonna have the perfect shave, but you're gonna get close to it. It's a good solid one. Our poll question for tonight: James Harden will have a bounce back season in 2022-23. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the follow on both channels. Stay for a while. Comment in. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And this poll, our answers might surprise the peeps. Got a feeling our answers will surprise. Not might, will. I'm going to agree. And one, I think he's trying to win. I think he's proven that a little bit. Now, is he still maybe got some mud in him? Sure. You know what I mean? He can only take the dog so far away from the kennel. You know what I mean? I never said that before, so I don't know how that sticks, but it felt right. But you can only teach an old dog new tricks, right? So many times he's not gonna know. He might catch on one time, but it does look like he's changing the stripes a little bit and trying to win, and that's showed by him giving the Sixers some flexibility money wise to be able to go out and do some things to make this roster better, right? Done and done there. But the other side of it that's not going to be really talked about is that it's about money at the end of the day too. He's trying to extend his career. So a guy that can opt in, opt out next year, it's a big year for guys like that. And we see it all around sports. When guys are in contract years, not all of them, a lot of them have their best years because it's a focus thing, right? When you're at this level, it's not a talent thing. It's your ability to focus, lock in, get your work in, and get better, right? And not get caught up in all the rest. So if your goal is to win and you go out this offseason as a player, putting all your goals and your workouts in the winning, well, guess what? You're probably gonna have a lot of success or better success than you did, or a bounce back year from the year before. So I factor in the money. I factor in it looks like he wants to win, whatever that means. Okay. And at the end of the day, he has an off season. He hasn't had an off season. He didn't have one last year. And he gets traded to a new place. He did look thinner in a picture I saw, but we don't know if it's Photoshop. So that's where I stand. I agree. I think he has a bounce back or whatever that may mean or be. I don't think he's like 5 years ago Harden, but bounce back.
Ryan, you next or me?
Go ahead, DJ.
Yeah, I think, okay, so I don't think Harden's been with the team long enough for me to really not believe what he says. I feel like I'm in a position where I have to believe what he says. At the end of the season, I was reactionary, of course, like I always am, right here on Running Back Philly every day. I was off James Harden. I was off the wagon, man. He was washed. He was done. Don't even let him walk at that point. And then I think the main thing that stood out to me was in the interview that he did, he basically said that he was injured throughout the season. And I argued that a lot because I didn't see him on any injury reports. You know, it wasn't like Harden, hamstring injury, Harden, hamstring. It wasn't there. So I'm like, is this guy injured or is he just done? So now I just have to believe that he wasn't himself. He wasn't 100% healthy. And because he had the hamstring injury, like you said, he didn't have an offseason. And you know, he said in that interview also, I like to eat. I like to drink. I like to enjoy myself. He said at 32 years old, I don't shed fat as easily as I did when I was 25. So he's understanding that. I mean, this should be common sense to most people on the planet, but I think he's getting to the point where he's at an NBA level. I can't live as casually throughout the whole year as I used to. So I think and how he performed in the playoffs this past season, getting booed by Philly fans, which you don't have to do much to get booed by Philly fans, but getting booed by Philly fans kind of smacked him in the face. Like, this is, okay, do I want to continue and be great for 3 or 4 more years, or do I want to be done? So I think he hit a crossroads, and I have no choice but to believe that he's going to come back in shape, healthy, and we're going to see at least the Brooklyn Nets elite facilitating point guard James Harden, the 20-10-10 guy. That's what I believe. So I agree to the poll. James Harden's going to have a bounce back year.
Yeah, real quick before you go, right? To what DJ said, I think that's is something not a lot of people have said, right? Like, hey, I'm going to believe this guy because I've no, you know, in the short period of time, I don't have a reason not to believe him, right? And I think that's important too, right? Guys get stenches on them, and you know, it's in 6 months, it's not enough time for us to really find out if that stench is real. Or if that's just like, hey, you know, guy just didn't get a shower for a day. You know what I mean? It's no big deal here. Right? Get him some Manscaped, clean him up, and he'll smell great. He'll smell great tomorrow.
Nice plug, Tom.
All right.
Give him a little crop reviver. You know, there you go.
I hate to do this, but I'll do the clean sweep. I also agree. Just because, like, listen. And I see the people in the chat, and it's a good exercise, like kind of giving like stat predictions on what it can look like. If I think for any three of us, like, I don't think there's a necessary, you know, a specific stat that he has to hit for him to be labeled a bounce back season, because at the end of the day, it's about what he does as opposed to what he doesn't do in the playoffs. Like that, like, it's weird to say, and I'm just speaking for me, but like, I think you guys and most of the fan base would agree that it only matters to a certain extent what he does in the regular season, because he could be, I mean, listen, he could be what James Harden has been for a majority of his career in the regular season. But if he, you know, chokes and if he completely disappears in the postseason, it's kind of like, okay, for what? Like, what did we just do the 5 months, 6 months of fun just for us to get bounced in the second round and James Harden, you know, averaging 14 points in the postseason type thing. But what I will say is I'm confident that he will play good enough to where this time next year, he's going to be opting out and going to be negotiating for more money, which can only mean one thing, and that's he played well enough to do that. Like, if if he replicates what he did in the second half of last season and he disappears in the postseason, I think he will very quickly opt into that money that he's owed, that option for year 2. And if he's not, the Sixers should definitely try to get him for that, because he shouldn't be wanting any more money than, what he's owed at that point. But I think that, number one, he was awful from 3. You don't need me to remind everybody about that. But like, I was checking Basketball Reference before we went on. He was shooting just over 32% from 3. Like, that's absurd for James Harden. It seems like everything he was shooting from the perimeter, it wasn't going in. And a lot of those end ones too, it was like it had a lid on the rim. He was going to the foul line, but it wasn't for a third point. You know what I'm saying?
It's the left, right? It's the left. So it's not making an excuse. It could be the hammy not fully being there yet. You're talking about a year off of a major surgery with it, right? And you're fully not there, like an Achilles type thing, right? Where the lift's not there. So like from 3, sort of can wrap my head around it, because we watched it. We felt like he didn't have lift. We felt like he didn't have explosion, like he even did like 6 months prior to that, right? So, and then the lid on the basket comes from, to your point, comes from, listen, if you don't have lift, there's going to be a lid on the basket. It's a big boys league. It's a big man's league, essentially. So there's going to feel like there's a lid on it. You're not going to finish anything you used to. And that used to be, to what you're saying, that used to be his MO. Like, even if he wasn't good for 3, he was going to the line a bunch.
Well, I think, first off, you're absolutely right. And what I look at for him to have a bounce back season, and Tom, you and I talked about this hours ago. Like, I like this poll question. I like the verbiage of bounce back, because it can mean so many different things. Like, is it a bounce back, not stats wise, but is he going to come alive and be that defined number 2 star, and maybe in small instances, that number 1 star in the playoffs, or when Joel Embiid's out or he needs help? Like, it's all about like what you define as successful for James Harden. And it's like you're weighing it with his expectations. Like you said in the open, like a bounce back year, in my opinion, is not James Harden from Houston. Like I think that guy's dead. You know what I'm saying? Like his teammates thinks that guy's dead. I don't think that guy got off the plane in Brooklyn. I think that guy's still floating around somewhere in Houston. So, hey, he's going to average 36 or anywhere in the 30s. That's not going to happen. Maybe it will. I doubt it, though. I severely doubt it. But can that guy show up, I don't know, once every 8 games? I'm saying 1 every 10 games? And that's kind of like the pick-me-up. Like, oh, okay, Joe, I got you. And then some of the other games, instead of having the, I only shot 2 times in the second half, hey, I'm going to turn those games where last year I was only putting up anywhere from 12 to 15. Okay, well, those 12 to 15 facilitating kind of clunker from the shooting percentage games. All right, well, this year it could be anywhere from 17 to 20. You know what I'm saying? Like just the little improvements, those shots, that 1 or 2 shots that weren't going in last year, if they're going in here, that's gigantic, especially with what he could do both off of rebounding and assists and everywhere else. Because you're not going to get it on defense.
Yeah, last excuse. You don't win in this league at the trade deadline. No. Doesn't happen. Not when you're talking about like going out and getting a star per se, or having to trade an air quote money, money saying he's a star but not a star for a guy who was a star or is a star, right? Like those deals don't really bring you championships. That's hard to do mid-season. That's more of a thing to be able to do, okay, maybe before the season. So I'm hopeful for a bounce back, because you get some chemistry with guys. And basketball is another sport like that. Chemistry matters. In every sport, chemistry matters differently in ways, right? You always need good locker room chemistry, but on court chemistry is something different. Knowing where guys are, what you expect from guys, what kind of situations do you want to get your teammates in? Okay, how can the 4 of you guys, who all air quote need the basketball in your hands to be successful, how can you all be successful together? Right? I thought early on when he first came in, he made an emphasis on saying, this is Joel Embiid's team. I'm just here, right? And I like that. Feed the big fella. Let him eat early, and then you'll get yours. And I felt like he really understood that. I still think he does. So I don't think that ever changed, right? It just I feel like when you're talking about those other 3 guys had to continue to feel their way into this process per se, right? and here we are. And I think this offseason is gigantic for that. I truly do. That doesn't mean we cut the nets down. That doesn't mean we even get over a hump. But right, the only thing I'll disagree with you with, if he looks, which I don't think he will, but if he looks like 5 years ago James Harden in the regular season, that's bounce back all day.
Oh,
If he
100%.
does, I don't think he will. I think there's going to be some in between. I think we all agree on that. There's going to be an in between that, right? Hopefully an in between that. And if it's an in between that, and we see it in the regular season, he doesn't. This is the great thing. If Joel's healthy, and I see people talking about backup centers, if Joel's healthy, he don't need to. He just needs to be the second fiddle. He never has to be the guy again. He just has to be good enough.
To your point, and DJ, I want your opinion on this too. With
You're not calling centers, are you?
No, I'll save that for a little bit. I'll save that for like the 35-minute mark.
Stay away. I mean, us three can go back up Joel if he's healthy, and we can win a chip if the other guys are doing their job.
All right, just send me a contract. I'll figure it out.
8 minutes.
I'm diving people's legs for 8 minutes.
Yeah. DJ,
2-minute runs though. Might be like 2 minutes. Get this guy out of here. 2 minutes. Get this guy out of here. 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's like the just change up the lines like in hockey. I think, and this is not an excuse. I don't think it is anyway. I mean, maybe it could be labeled as that. Aside from the injury, which we don't need an injury report. We just need eyeballs to know like he wasn't 100% for whatever reason. It could be just because he was overweight. Like who knows? But the biggest reason why I think he struggled in last season / postseason is it's comfortability, because like everyone talks about like the first 6 games, and I've been home a lot the last handful of days, so I went back and I watched every one of those first 6 to 7 games with James Harden, like when he first arrived there. And listen, it brought back some good memories. It was short-lived, but it was pretty good. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what the hell happened? And then I went to some interviews, and he actually brought up, it might have been in the same interview you referenced at the beginning, DJ, and that was, in my opinion, just looking at those first 5 games, James Harden was just playing basketball. He wasn't in a system. He wasn't running plays. Like up until, I think, their second off day, he only knew 2 plays. That was like via Doc Rivers. He was just playing basketball and using his instincts for the better. And, oh, look, that was probably the best version of James Harden as a Sixer. Then he started trying to learn this Doc Rivers system. And he's not the only one. A lot of guards, both veteran and younger guys, have said that Doc Rivers' system with guards historically is tough to pick up right away, especially in season. So then I'm thinking, okay, not to take all pressure from the guy, because the guy's still got to shoot in the second half. He's got to stop running into 6 people and stop playing iso ball, dribbling for 20 seconds and then passing it to friggin' Matisse Thybulle, who can't shoot at all. So, like, there's things that I blame him for. But it's like, okay, well, you have a guy who was clearly not 100%, trying to learn a system that he wasn't comfortable with. And then he gets to the playoffs and he's just completely lost. So it's like, okay, you get comfortable now and you get healthy. It's only got to go up from here, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's like, listen, for me, it's a little bit Jalen Hurts for me. All right, I'm gonna go there. The regular season, the defense is a little bit different, and things look a lot smoother. Things look a lot easier. And then the playoffs happen, and defenses smack you in the face and force you to beat them with what they target as your weakness. And James looked totally different in the playoffs than he looked in those regular season games. It's just, Monday night against the Detroit Pistons or whatever it was, here's a 30-point triple-double with my eyes closed. Who really cares? And it was awesome, and we were loving it. And then the playoffs, the defenses tightened up, and I think it was definitely the legs. The one thing I noticed is that most of his three-point attempts to me seemed like they were off the front of the rim. They looked short, and it looked like a struggle every single time. Every single time he had an ISO and he's doing the classic James Harden 45 dribble step back, it didn't look right. It looked like a struggle. It looked like this is probably not going in. Like once in a while it would go in and we'd be like, oh, there's the James Harden. Yeah. But it just looked like a struggle the whole time. And I think because he was struggling, he didn't have to lift, like you said, and his shots were short. And it's all in the legs. We've all played ball, and if you play for 3 hours at the park, and you think like, yeah, I can run another game, and you can't make a single shot because your legs are done. You got to hang it up and go, rest for a couple of days. So I think it was definitely his legs, and then he lost confidence in the shot, and then he stopped shooting the open shot. And then the defense has even kind of started to back up a little bit, and I'm like, wait a minute, now we're getting in Ben Simmons territory here. We traded the guy for a dude that comes in here and is doing the same thing. And we thought we were getting a second star. We thought we were getting a guy at that time that when Joel is down or when Joel's getting double and triple teamed, when Joel's getting taken out of a game, when a team's clear game plan is just throw the kitchen sink at Joel Embiid and make somebody else do something, we thought we finally got this second guy that can be like, okay, you got to stop me too, and I can take over a game and I can drop 40. And we didn't get that, but I think it's just because he wasn't himself. I think we're going to get that this season. So I think we, as Philly fans, we definitely overreacted. We didn't like what we saw because we were sold something else. And, I think the organization could have went about it a little bit differently too. If they would have constantly reminded us that this guy's in a hamstring thing and maybe he'll play tonight, maybe he won't, hamstring, the fan base would have taken it a little better. But it was like, oh, he's healthy. We're going to get James Harden, and it wasn't James Harden. So, but yeah, I think we're going to see healthier, better shot making, better taking people off the dribble, better ISO. I know, I don't remember if it was you or Ryan that said you don't want to see him ISO as much. I think that's part of one of the only parts of his game. If that's gone, he has to learn new things. And like Tom said earlier, you can't teach a dog new tricks. I think he has to get that part of his game back, at least to some extent. Obviously not Houston extent, but he has to get it back a little bit. And
yeah, you got to be able to win ISO ball. Yeah, absolutely, yes, to win ISO ball, ISO league.
Yeah, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but James, we need to teach you mid-range too. We need to teach you a little.
Thank you.
There's an in between a three-pointer and a layup. Just shoot the mid-range. Maybe a floater. How's a guy? He hardly ever even puts up a floater. When he starts to drive, like someone in the chat said, I think of a superhero. He just plows into three people.
Yep.
Throw up a floater or just stop and shoot a mid-range jumper. I mean, it's a fundamental thing. What's going on here?
DJ, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was gonna say it was partly a statement and then a question because, yeah, are we expecting James Harden to learn 7 new tricks? No, James Harden is going to be what he is and what he's physically able to be. But, and it's funny because in the Sam Cassell video that was going around a couple weeks ago, with him and Maxey and Harden, the one thing that they were teaching or not teaching, but they were drilling was the mid-range. It was the pull-up. Yep. And that's so many times, and we were talking about this back, before the season even ended, that if he can just add, he doesn't have to do more than a handful of times, just the threat of that into his game, I think that would be gigantic because so many times he would
be doing this again.
Why?
I just feel everything's a circle jerk back to something I don't even want to talk about. Like we just did this with a point guard here. If he could just add this into his, there's nothing about you, right? If he could just add this into his game, it would change everything. Listen, the guy, you're a 32-year-old NBA basketball player, an MVP. If you can't hit a mid-range shot, I can't help you. So it's there to be able to hit. He just doesn't do it because it's been beaten into his head that, hey, you're better off taking a step back three or going straight to the cup. Now do you have a coach in Sammy who's now trying to implement that more, right? I think it's something that he will start doing more in his game. He even did it a little bit here last year, not a ton, but I remember seeing him wow, did he pull up from the elbow? Then no, he had that one because in Houston it was run and gun, jack up as many three, you know what I mean? Just the point on why he didn't do it in Houston. It was Mike D'Antoni, jack up as many, not that you guys don't know this, but jack up as many threes as you can, right? And try to take it hard to the bucket to create an N1. I mean, it's literally what their offense entailed there. So I think that's the main reason why we've probably seen 7 elbow jumpers in Harden sign with Houston.
Yeah, when he shot him, they looked great. He had one step back mid range that I remember in a Sixers uniform, and it was perfect, and it was nothing but net, and it was man, if they're gonna give you that space, this dude, I know how good of a shooter he is. He can make 100 of those in a row, wide open.
Right. He's easier here,
yeah.
Right? Probably easier.
Yeah, I think it'll be easier on his body because if he, instead of going up to the rim and then obviously, because how many times the Toronto series, we saw it in Miami where he would go and it would usually be a layup and then he would take contact and it would be an N1 in previous years. Because he didn't have the lift, he wasn't going to be able to get through the flood of people and he's just smothered and it's either going to be a turnover or it's going to go out of bounds. The best case scenario. If he's
How about
pulling
this?
up,
All right. You're done.
I was just saying, if he's pulling up, at the foul line, well, that's going to be easier on his body. Maybe he will go to the line a handful of less times just because he's not, getting the contact. But you're going to be more of a threat offensively.
Yeah, well, forget about his body for a second. Like DJ just talked about him, him doing a step back, a step back elbow jumper type thing, right? Like the whole country thinks you're going to take it to the rack. So if you start pulling up there, you're going to have open looks. And in reality, open looks are a higher percentage than what your percentages are going to be taken to the bucket. Because you're not only talking about percentage of having to make a basket in traffic, you're talking about the percentage of getting a foul called for you, right? Or a turnover. So you start implementing that. Now your game, this is what we were joking about before. Now your game expands because now people almost have to respect you pulling up there. And like their defense gets a little tighter in that area where now you can continue on by them and maybe you get an easy layup. There's so much set up by one, shooting a jumper, which one guy never understood. Okay. And then having range inside your game, right? Like, it's important in today's NBA. Like, I don't know why the mid-range game got poo-pooed. Like, Monte Ellis
Analytics,
like 58% for the mid-range.
Analytics, especially D'Antoni, man. That guy was running with analytics to the point where he traded to center. He said, no more of this. No more of anything but shooting threes and driving to the rack, like you said, and getting and ones. He was probably telling him not to shoot mid-range shots because analytically it doesn't make sense. But you just can't go full – you can't go full analytics, man. Like, I'm eye test Eastwood over here, man. I'm eye test all day.
What you do to the kids, right? Like when they're real little, like, no. Like, I mean, I can feel Harden pulling up for a jumper, a mid-ranger in practice, and Mike, like one of the first weeks of practice. Oh! We don't do that. You read the book? Did you see the book? What it says? You see what the numbers say? I know what the numbers say. I know what the numbers in the NBA said for years. Big men win championships, great two-guard sign shoe deals, and maybe win championships. That's the NBA I know. Unless you're one of the greatest of all time, big men win chips. Now, LeBron, MJ, certain greats, throw it out the window. But you look at the rest of the league. You name guys that didn't have big men that were part of winning championships. Great big men win championships, two-guard signed shoe deals. The NBA got so far away from it. That's why I believe the last 4 years that the Sixers were going about it the right way. They said, in a way, screw your analytics, screw the book. We're going to get a generational big man that can beat you up right inside. And I really thought that, we're going to say, look, Warriors, there's another way to do it. And we just haven't been able to do that yet. And hopefully, this is the year where we get a healthy big dog, all right? And we can prove that big men win chips. I mean, look at Giannis. His size proved what big guys beat up on small guys. Hey, Chip Kelly. You know what I mean? Like, it proved it. He just went. He was so much bigger and stronger and faster than people that nobody could stop him. He was that dominant in the postseason, right, guys? And you look at guys like the likes of Shaq, dominant in a different way, but dominant to the point where you can't stop them. Tim Duncan, the big fundamental, there's a reason you couldn't stop. He could hit shots from anywhere on you. His post games were ridiculous. Now, do they have other great players around him? Of course, right? Of course. But there's been a recipe for success when you talk about the big man. And I just hope maybe you guys got me triggered with analytics that hopefully maybe we can go back to it and we can be the team to say, look what he can do. Look what you can do if you had the things around it. I think we had the things around it, guys. I do.
Yeah,
I think it will go back to that. I think the Warriors are such an anomaly. Everybody thought this is the new NBA. No, you can't do what the Warriors do. If Clark Kent walked down the sidewalk and just flew into the sky, this is what people do now. No, you can't do that. Superman. There's never going to be another one. There's never going to be another Steph Curry and Klay Thompson combination, two best shooters maybe of all time on the same team. It's never going to happen again. And everybody tried to mimic it and tried to jump on the bandwagon. Let's shoot. The Rockets shot 41 threes a game or something that one season. And then they got all the way to the playoffs in Game 7. I don't know if it was Game 7 that this number comes out, but I always remember this number. They lost one of those important games. They missed 27 three-pointers in a row.
Game 6.
So the plan completely backfired on what they were trying to do. I think we'll get back to traditional basketball, and I think we have gotten to it till the Warriors got healthy again. And they were like, we're still here.
Yeah, we'll get back to it when Steph Curry retires. You know what I'm saying? Because as long as that guy exists anywhere close to the level he's been at, it's got to be, and real quick with like the reason, and you guys obviously don't you guys already know this, but it was like times 10 with the analytics in Houston because look who they always ran into. It was them. So they knew, hey, while we did have a Clint Capella and we had some, we could make some mid-range shots and all that, and we could, go to the rim and all that, what an actual, like I don't want to say a multifaceted team could be, but something that's just not shooting threes and then going out and playing no defense. It was kind of a minute point when you face the Warriors because for every 4 points you put up with Houston, the Warriors were going to give you 6. They'll trade those 2 field goals for 2 3-pointers. So it's like, okay, well, these guys aren't going to miss because Klay Thompson, one of the better shooters of all time, Steph Curry, the best shooter of all time, a lot of role players around that'll obviously fill in the gaps. They're not going to miss, so we have to now shoot with them. And there comes the 26 or 27 missed 3-pointer run because they couldn't.
Piper23 in the chat said, when's the last time a big man led a team to a championship? I'm pretty sure it was Shaquille O'Neal, and that just happened to be the last big man that led the league in scoring until Joel Embiid last season. I think it all went away because there wasn't big men that are that good. It kind of disappeared because there was nobody.
Didn't Timmy win one right after him at some point?
And Nowitzki too.
Well, I don't consider Dirk a big. Timmy's more of a big.
Oh, Tim Duncan. Yeah, Tim Duncan.
Dirk didn't play in the post per se.
He's more perimeter.
Yeah,
true.
Good. He always had the
Tim
step
Duncan in
back
the
jumper.
2000s.
So the step back toe, just want the big toe hanging down jumper. But I think Timmy did. But still, I mean, the point is to his point, Piper's point. It's been a minute.
What about Giannis? I mean, Giannis is a big.
I count him a big. So I mean
he's a big.
Last 2 years ago, you saw it.
If he means back to the basket, traditional style center, then yeah, Tim Duncan. And again, those are the greatest. Those are 2 of the greatest of all time. So I think Joel Embiid fits that mold. If it hasn't been seen for a long time, to me, it's just because there hasn't been a center that good since then, and there is one now.
Yeah, he's just had a broken face the last handful of times. That's been the issue. I want to say real quick, it's so tough. Like I saw a comment 10 minutes ago being like, how would you guys define success for James Harden? That's a great question because I think you can get a different answer for everybody. I think the perfect way to sum up a successful season for James Harden, and more importantly, the Sixers with James Harden, is if for a majority of the year, we're not having the same conversation we've been stuck with for 5 years now, and that's who's the second star. If we can go through this year saying, even in, because James is going to have bad nights. Everybody's prone to it, okay? Embiid had a 0 piece a couple years ago, right? So everybody's prone to it. If we're not saying what we've been stuck with saying, that's, oh my God, we got to find another star. Or, oh my God, Harden's at best the third star. Or, oh, we need a 22, 21-year-old Tyrese Maxey to be the second fiddle. If we go into every game in the postseason saying, Joel's Joel, he's that guy, but James is the glue, however that means, whatever that means that given night, whether that's the facilitating, whether that's the perimeter shooting, getting to the line and getting other people in foul trouble. However, that's why he's so good. It's because he can help you even when he doesn't have it a certain night. I think that's the biggest key to success. It's that no more of this second star nonsense.
Right. Yeah, well, I think your second star is known, and I think the guy who just opted in or took less money on this deal knows who that second star is. And I think that was proven this past year. Right? I think it was proven when James Harden got here that he knew just from the eye test that, this young kid can play. And I'm going to turn him into that guy. And he's going to help me and Joel get to where we want to get to. So I don't think you need to label him. I think you need to say, hey, I got 3 damn good basketball players around Joel Embiid. That's the way it should be looked at, because we do. I mean, we went through this whole conversation. Tobias Harris is a good basketball player. There's teams out there would like Tobias Harris. They won't like his money, but there's teams out there that would like Tobias Harris for sure, because he is a good basketball player. Are they great? No. But Tyrese Maxey has the chance to be an all-star caliber player this year. And I believe that they're going to allow that to happen. I believe James Harden wants at that point. You saw at the end of the year, right? Those two in the pick and roll game was something to be like, good luck stopping that, because they were lights out in the pick and roll game. And that's something to really look towards coming into this year with an offseason together, right? Together, that I think their pick and roll game is going to be dangerous, and it's all going to open things up for Joel if he's healthy. But I think Tyrese Maxey takes one of the biggest jumps. We thought this past year was a jump. I think he works his way up into, like, and I know Brink said, stats for losers, but in terms of Maxey, in terms of growth, I think he makes his jump up to like 24 a game. I really do. I think he's like in a 23, 24 a game, because I think Harden's going to get him the basketball. I just do.
Yeah, I think so too. I saw it when Harden first got there, and I didn't really see that from anybody else on the sideline until James Harden got there. It looked like he saw Tyrese Maxey and automatically believed in him and said, I know what this kid has, and I know what he needs. He just needs, he's young. He doesn't have that maybe confidence, and he maybe has people telling him, like, be cautious of what shots you take or something like that. Harden came in and said, no, you shoot the ball. Every single time you feel like it's a good shot, you shoot the ball. Don't think about anything else. And he was in his ear, and I think that helped him a ton. And I saw a clip of Maxey at the McDonald's All-Star game a couple of years ago, and he said James Harden's his favorite player to watch at that point. And now he ends up playing on the same team as James Harden, learning from him, learning his ways, his ins and outs, the ways that the way that he, air quotes, manipulates the game, his little, is it a travel, is it not, step back, leaning into defenses and throwing it. Maxey's going to learn all the little things that James Harden did for 10 years that a lot of people didn't like. But he's just going to learn a lot of things from James Harden, and the ISO game, the step back, the taking people off the dribble. If Maxey adds even 25% of what James Harden did in Houston to his game, he's going to be, I think he can be at an elite level. And Tyrese Maxey's work ethic is probably number one for me when it comes to him. I just posted the interview on the Instagram page. He was on an interview on TikTok, but he basically said, I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning. My first shooting workout is at 6. I go to the gym and I lift. I come back. I do another shooting workout all before 11 a.m. And I know I have an edge on my competitors because they weren't up when I was up and they weren't working like I was working. So that sounds a little like Jimmy Butler level of psychotic to me. So you're telling me I get a kid with this skill set with a Jimmy Butler level of I want to be better than everyone, and I'm just going to put the work in to show it? Yeah.
Guy sounds like The Rock.
Well, I say to my kids all the time, how bad do you want it? Like, talent's all around us right here, right? Like, when we huddle up after game, talent's all around us. So when nobody's watching, how bad do you want it? That's the difference. When everybody's watching, it's easy to want it. It's easy to want it when the lights turn on. But how much work are you trying to put in? That's something that's not taught. You can continue to try to press that in athletes, but that's something that I've witnessed over my time. Is there's guys who want that, and there's guys with they're cool, and there's other guys that are cool with car rides home that they don't enjoy, right? And that works in the pros too. There's guys that flights out, they're okay with not being successful, and then there's guys who losing chews them up, right? More than winning. You gotta hate to lose more than you like to win. That's competitive fire 101. And I'll never doubt that kid's competitive streak. And I think they're going to put him in a great spot. And I think he's going to be a big part on why I believe this team, I hate to say surprises people because that's such a poor word, but Brinkman, you're wrong. I mean, Rob Brinkman's wrong again, by the way. I saw that comment. You're wrong again. You just didn't factor in that they upgrade their bench. You said they need 75 from those 3 guys a night. That's not true. That's not true. That's almost wrong to say. Like, it's not last year's bench. Last year's team, yep, right with you. Right with you. You need 75 from those cats. Not this year's team. Not saying you have, like, prime Lou Will as a 6-man coming off your bench, but they're scoring coming off of this bench in different ways. When you talk about Milton, House, Tucker, Niang, freaking even Cork, there's guys who can score the basketball coming off your bench in reality. There's only one guy who can't. That's Matisse, and he's probably starting.
Don't do that to me.
That's where he's got to be, DJ. If he's on this roster, that's the only place he can be. He hurts me off my bench.
I agree, DJ.
With those 4 guys.
He hurts
DJ,
you in
I
the
agree.
first 3 minutes of a game if he's starting.
Well, he's a loser. He hurts me, period. So
I don't
sometimes
know
you
what
gotta
his role is at this point. When I talk about lineups and who's going to start and who's coming off the bench, I forget to even mention Matisse Thybulle. I don't
You know
even
what
feel
his
like
role
he
is?
fits.
You know what his role is? Trade asset. That's what his role is.
Well, you know what his role is. I mean, as much as I
Yeah.
don't think he's as great there as other people do. I mean, the league seems to think it, but I mean, his biggest role and asset is to lock people down. I mean, there's guys who make a lot of money doing that. Right now, I know the league thinks you're a second team all defensive player. I would more lean to like third or fourth from my eyeballs, but that's fine. That's fine. It doesn't mean I don't think you're good. What I watched you do to Steph Curry in a primetime game, and I stand by that one, right? Like, guys, I don't care about the guy scoring if he's starting with those four guys, right? I just care enough about you shooting it, right? But what I saw him do to Steph Curry is something I just can't, like, it's there. It's like the elite defensive player is somewhere there. Can you become consistent with it, right, guys? Because I can deal with the rest. I can deal with you shooting 30% from three when I got the four other guys who can flat out score, right? We got to understand it. Draymond Green can't shoot, but he's elite at something. He's elite, and he's surrounded with scoring. So that's why he can't come off the bench. Coming off the bench hurts you because he brings you no offense. He's got to start with those four guys, but right, he's got to take the step to elite. Right, DJ? He's got to become a first-team, all-defensive, eyeball player for us to take another step. There's the important things that have to happen for us. I'm not saying it's going to. I'm just saying, like, you don't have to score to have your fingerprints all over a game either.
And I hope for the sake of the Dallas Mavericks that he does. For that.
I just want to trade him. I want to play him for 8 minutes a game. Let him get his 2 rebounds and let him get his 2 steals and 2 blocks in the shortest. Like that's his still the claim to fame for Matisse Thybulle is that he has the most steals and blocks in the least minutes of anybody that ever existed. That's I don't know if that's true, but that's basically what people say, and that's because he can't be on the floor for more than those minutes.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, he's like the first player with 500 blocks and 500 steals in a certain amount of minutes.
I'm vetoing trades now. You guys are out of control. Is that a real stat? Is that a real stat? I might have to veto trades. I might put my own no trade clause on. That's real.
Yeah, and he had 2 steals and 2 blocks per game last season on like 12 minutes a game or 14 minutes a game. And if you do his per 36,
that's where
steals and blocks per game is out of this world.
Oh, you can't trade him now. I mean, that's an unbelievable stat. This guy would end up being Ron Artest. It's like Ron Artest, Meta World.
No, because you put him on the floor, and you saw it in the first couple games against Toronto when he got to play. They didn't even look at him. They turned their backs to him. He was so wide open. They would have guarded me before they were ready to guard Matisse Thybulle in that game. They said, this dude's not going to do anything, and they went 5-on-4, and they did exactly what they did with Ben Simmons. I don't want to say the kid's a worse Ben Simmons, but he's literally Ben Simmons with no ball skills.
Yeah, but he wasn't. This is where I give the kid a little pass, even though I think he stinks offensively. He's not supposed to be generational.
Yeah.
The other guy I was told was LeBron James. You know what I mean? People were like, I feel like my wife one night was tickling me saying, we got LeBron. You know what I mean? Like, no, this guy was drafted to be a defensive specialist and hopefully a 3-and-D guy. The 3 just never came. I don't think it will come.
Or the
right?
2.
Yeah, I mean, regardless. But like, if he's playing 12 minutes a night, like he's not then playing down the stretch where like a PJ Tucker's taking that role now, right? Where in the last 5 minutes of a basketball game, right? I'm not as worried about that. Make sense? So if there's the impact that you can have throughout a game, even if it's 12 minutes, like depending on what you get back for a guy like that, you know what I mean? Like I don't know what his trade value is, nor do I give a rat's ass. Because if they trade him, cool, and then I'll talk. I'm not like Ryan, right? Like if they trade him, I'll be like, okay, let me dissect the trade. I don't get stimulated off of potentials. You know what I mean? I've dealt with that too long. Like, well, I've probably talked trades with 20 million guys in my lifetime. You know what I mean? So it doesn't do anything for me. Like pull the trigger. Now Daddy's excited. Now Daddy likes what he sees. You know what I mean?
DJ,
who's talking about?
DJ, who's if the season, or I'm not gonna say if the season's hard to mark, who's your starting small forward if you're running the Sixers?
I think I have to go with PJ Tucker. I think I have to go with PJ Tucker at the 3, and I think it's a pretty good guess considering the history of Doc Rivers You know, you give him a 37-year-old player, he's putting him on the floor all day, every day.
Well played. Well played.
No,
Yeah,
I really think so. Or Danuel House. I don't really know that much. Last year we were playing Danny Green and Matisse Thybulle. I don't PJ Tucker is the corner 3-point specialist. All you gotta do is stand in the corner and shoot the ball. At least he's a threat to shoot. At least the defense has to go out there.
I mean, is Danuel House more of a 3?
He is a 3. Yes.
Yeah.
He's just the argument is he's like the 8th man on a team. That's what he should be. So it's like the argument with him is, okay, it's not, is he like the same position as a small forward? It's, is he good enough to be in your starting lineup? Well, starting 5.
I don't think, you know how I feel about this. Like starting lineup means nothing to me.
Who's finishing games? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Who's on the court the last 7 minutes, 5 minutes, etc. They're the guys that are meaningful. So if I reword that, if you reworded it to me, then I'm going to agree with DJ. It's going to be PJ Tucker. But the first 5 minutes of a basketball game, the first 5, it would be Matisse Thybulle. The last 5, it's PJ Tucker.
Well, speaking of Danuel House, the last time Danuel House was relevant, he was getting the ball from James Harden in Houston, and he was shooting 41.5% from 3, and that's all he was doing is catching and shooting. I mean, he was firing away like 7, 8 3-point attempts a game. So
it could be Danuel House then. I mean, you're talking about 5 minutes of a basketball game, right, guys? Like it doesn't. You can ring that bell early, get him out, and then you go to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean,
have to be a lot.
Tom, we've had this conversation before, and it's going to be like, oh, of course, Ryan has this option, but I truly believe it's somebody not on the team, and it's a trade machine alone. I just don't believe it's anybody on the roster.
Yeah, and I'll just continue to yell at you until you realize we're not playing 2K. That you can't.
2K? They made one. See, this is where I disagree with you.
2.
So what players off the top of your head?
He's made 3.
You made one trade. You've made one trade.
Talking about moves, he's made 3. Like you don't shuffle the whole deck in an offseason. It's hard to do.
What do you mean the whole deck? You traded Danny Green a pick.
I'm talking
about. You didn't make any moves.
Yes, you have. You signed 2 other basketball players.
Yeah, there's half the league signed like 6 guys.
Okay, I'm glad. I'm just saying that not every year do you make 2 trades, 3 trades, whatever. Like it's not like they've already made a move. Could they make another one? Am I telling you you're wrong? No. I'm just telling you I'm going to talk about what's here because I can't talk about what potentially could be here that isn't here right now because I don't got that crystal ball, which is always a fun conversation. Don't get me wrong. I'm always up for the machine in terms of the fun conversation. But right now, I got to talk about what's here. And what's here is this is what I know's here. I would prefer Matisse not being here. I'm right with you guys. See ya. I'm good. Send him to Toronto where he can't play. Right? That's where I'm looking.
He'll end up being. Oh yeah. I see what you're saying.
Oh, you know exactly where I'm. Go to Toronto. Go to Toronto. You're freaking me. Start taking jabs right in the asshole. You know what I mean? You'll be like, jab me 4. Give me 4 of them. I don't care how I grew up. What I thought about. Yeah. I'm gonna lose $10 million.
Aaron, I'm talking about Reggie Bullock. I'm not talking about Eric Gordon.
I like Reggie Bullock, but I feel like Dallas Mavericks fans hate Reggie Bullock. So it's like, the grass isn't always greener. And I do like Reggie Bullock, but I'm just making a point. Look at Nick Castellanos in the outfield right now. I mean, that guy can't even move. I feel like when I watch him everywhere else, he can move. Sometimes you think the grass is greener, and it's really not greener. It's like, oh my God, that guy can't even move out there. I didn't know he couldn't move. So it's like, some of the things I wonder when you get when you don't watch every game of a player, right? You wonder, would I hate this guy?
Yeah, exactly.
I hate Reggie Bullock.
It happens to every team. They probably say it's the same thing about Matisse Thybulle. A lot of other people are like, why do Philly fans hate Matisse Thybulle? Isn't he a defensive generational talent? And they're like, you don't watch him. You don't watch him every game. Again, Monday night against the Detroit Pistons. You didn't watch him. Unfortunately, we watch every second of this kid playing.
That's why it's a great trade-off. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you don't want Reggie? Okay, we don't want Matisse. It's cool.
John, I don't know. John, I was asking for John saying Bullock is left in Dallas. Good, then I'll take him. I don't know what people care about in Dallas, but I'll take him. Right? I'll absolutely take him. I'm not going to poo-poo that. I just know that, hey, you got to give up something to get something. And Matisse could turn himself into a really good basketball player in this league, or a really good contributor. He's never going to be like an all-star, but he could be a second-team all-defensive player the next 7 years, right? He could maybe even sneak a couple first teams in. He could shoot the three ball at like a 36% clip, right? Like, yeah. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh, we got rid of that guy. Oh, typical Philly. Right? I can see it because he's not young, but he is young, right? Like, it's make or break year for Matisse Thybulle in terms of what he's going to be. Offensively, you either fix the problem of being able to hit a couple more threes, or Aaron's been all night with this. Aaron, I don't
understand.
I mean, you would trade Tobias for a bag, I don't even know, a bag of Skittles, and you can't even eat Skittles anymore.
I saw that, but Aaron's not. This is why I put it up, because Aaron's not the first person I've seen say that in the last couple of days. Like, Tobias Harris off the bench. First off, I don't know why you would do that. And two, I don't know why you would believe the Sixers would do that. Like, this is like wrong on like 6 different counts.
Colin, did you just see what happened? Colin, do you understand? I don't even like Matisse Thybulle. I don't even like him. So don't think at any point I'm defending the guy. What I'm saying is you need elite wing defenders in this league. If you want to get to where you want to get to, you better have some elite guys on the perimeter. Listen, I would love for the guy to score at a better clip, have a pulse offensively. Cool, I would. But mixed in with all my scoring, I need some guys that just have roles too. It's okay. I don't need every guy to be like, I need 10 guys on my roster to be able to hit the three ball consistently. I know I do need some guys that can do some things at a high level that maybe other guys can't. Maxey, Harden, not good defenders in case you all missed it. Okay? They're not. I need somebody on the wing that can defend somebody. It's not all offense. Like, look at the Warriors. They arguably had the best perimeter defensive team of arguably the last 2 decades. When you talk about Draymond, Clay, and Wiggins, who really bought in there, you're talking about 3 elite wing defenders. It creates problems, and they can score. We already know that. But they won a championship last year because they were palmsy and aggressive too. Don't take that away from the Warriors. The Warriors have won because they've been elite defensively too. It just hasn't. They're just lucky to have a generational guy in Klay Thompson that's arguably one of the best 3-and-D guys of all time. And Draymond Green, who we know what Draymond is. They ran in to everything going right for them, but you still need those pieces to win. You do.
It's true. It's true. You need defenders, but I think you just said it at the same time, though. Those guys can score too. I think in today's game you need 3-and-D. I don't know if a 0-and-D guy can last in this league, and especially with the dynamic of Joel Embiid in the middle. The whole opponent's game plan is to double team Joel Embiid as fast as possible. If there's a guy on the floor we don't have to worry about, throw double Joel. So I don't know. I love Matisse's defense. I think it's a little bit overrated. I think it's highlight defense. But I think he has potential to be an amazing perimeter defender. But I definitely don't know. I think in today's game he needs an offensive game to be able to last in this league. A change of scenery can definitely be that. Like he looked better in his rookie season than he did last year, and he looked better on the Australian team in the Olympics than he did last year. Now the Olympics isn't all NBA competition, so maybe that's why he looked better. But he just looked a little more comfortable. Maybe it's fit. Maybe he's uncomfortable last season. They added Harden. Maybe he didn't know what he was doing. What is my role? What do I do when I go in the game? That kind of thing. Maybe Doc Rivers never even said a word to him and doesn't know who he is. I don't know.
I'll take that option. I'll take that option.
Guys, real quick, I wasn't comparing like this. So like saying like I'm not comparing Matisse to Clay. I'm making the point of elite perimeter defenders, and you need a few. When you're talking about a guy playing 12 to 15 minutes a night, like that guy, I can get away with that. Like, right? If I got to play the guy 30 plus minutes a night, I can't get away with it. There's ways you can get away with it. You band-aided the issue by getting a PJ Tucker and a Danuel House. You band-aided the backup plan to him starting, which is those guys are going to get minutes and you're going to go to the hot hands, etc. Right? Like PJ's going to play down the stretch. So you almost gave yourself an opener and a closer and a guy in the middle. Right? That's sort of how you just went about it. If you talk about, put your GM hat on. Okay. Just throwing out Matisse plays, starts. Then obviously other guys are going to play, but you guys understand my point. Danuel House, PJ Tucker. You could almost line it up like that. at times, right? Or other ways around too. I'll trade him in a heartbeat, but I'm not like that trade. I don't think makes or breaks my basketball team. That's where my head's at. I'm not saying you guys are in a different headspace, but like that trade doesn't like change the dynamic of the Philadelphia 76ers. The Philadelphia 76ers are going to go as those four guys go. Yep. If those four guys can play together at a high level and they're healthy, we go as they go. Other guys got to be complementary pieces inside the puzzle. That's why I don't mind Matisse. Make or break here, honey. You want to get better, then you get paid. You don't want to get better, there's the door. Because it's contract year. I don't like trading guys on contract. You know how I feel about this. If a guy's going to get better, it's right now. Or he never will. So time's yours. Time's yours, Tease. As they like to say. Tease. Go ahead, Tease.
Riz says, do you guys think we're one piece away from a complete team, or do you think we already are?
We're complete. Wrap it up. I'm ready to start the season. As complete as you're going to get. Wrap it up. Let's go.
Yeah, I think we're complete. I think people are underestimating a lot of this. There's a lot of ifs with this team, but I think people are underestimating it like crazy. Everybody says to me every day, we need another star, or we need this, or we need that. We need healthy Joel Embiid. We need healthy James Harden. We need year 3 Tyrese Maxey and a deeper bench than last season. And that's it. We had enough to get to the NBA Finals last year if Joel didn't get punched in the face or whatever it was. We have it. It's all, can the whole team stay healthy? And can the bench be better than it was last year? And I think DeAnthony Melton, PJ Tucker, Danuel House, I think it'll shock a lot of people. If we stay healthy, this team can compete for a championship. I think that 100% right now.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I feel fine about this roster. If you want me to feel really good about it,
here we go.
Well, it's the truth. I mean, I don't trust Charles Bassey to be that start, that backup center.
I'm not gonna trust anybody you're going out and getting.
I don't think Bassey's getting a minute on the floor. By the way, I think it's Paul Reed. I think Bassey underwhelmed in the summer league and just doesn't look ready.
And this is where I'm in the mind. I'm not saying, and I'm not saying I'm right, DJ, by saying this. This is just a feeling of mine. I just don't think Paul Reed is a center. I think his best situation to succeed and not foul is a 4, because he has that perimeter game.
But the only thing I disagree with you in today's world of most of the time that he be playing a center, like we talked about the other night, Rye, you're probably going to be playing some guys that are like 6'11" sometimes. Like he's not going to see many giants. But listen, you know where I stand with this, and I'll continue to yell and scream it. Right, crunch time. I need to run a different unit in playoff time and run a guy at my 5. What I watched last year, that guy would beat Tobias Harris. And I would go small on you and switch you up. This is the mental side of it. You see big. Then I hit you with a second unit that PJ's running my 4 now. Tobias is running my 5. That's physicality. I'm going to rebound all right. It doesn't need – listen, we would love for Paul Reed or Charles Bassey to take the reins of this, right, and own it. One of you two go win the job and own it. Because we could use it. It's never a problem to have a backup big man. But come crunch time, Rye, why I'm not that worried about it is they're going to get a full year to see if one of those two can play. And if they can't, and we don't feel comfortable, we just watch Tobias Harris D up Bam. And D him up pretty well. I'm not saying that he can do that every night, but he can play the 5. Like, okay, I don't want to play Joker in the 5. But most of this league, look at the 5s. They're all stretched softies. They're all stretched. It's Mr. Softy stretched. Okay, so he can play any of them because actually it's a better matchup defensively for a guy like Tobias. His quickness actually will benefit him against some of the 5s that are slower but want to play out on the perimeter more, right? So I look at it like that. You could throw a team a curveball. It doesn't have to be missionary. Like, not saying you're saying missionary, but we're like, got to go to the buzzer, got to be Paul or got to be Charles. No, come crunch time, I'm saying. If those guys don't work out, I think the solution's right here. That's why PJ's such a big pickup, because he can also play the 5 at times and the 4, and him and Tobias are almost interchangeable. So I don't know. I think it just brings you some deeper stuff that, like, in the depth chart, it doesn't show it. But I think this coaching staff, as much as we give them shit, I think they are smart enough to probably see that. And I have to think that factored a little bit into the want a guy like PJ too.
A lot of people in the chat are saying Dwight Howard on the veteran minimum.
No,
Well,
I'll take Bassey. I'll take Bassey.
Well, right, that's what you're going to get most likely, right? Like not taking shots at you, but like at this point, like unless your Matisse is getting you something that's worthy of a backup center, like what are you getting?
Well,
That's
you know what this is? It's me having my eyes on one guy that's still out there. Okay,
Who?
And I'll perhaps say it's not because he dropped who?
Markieff Morris.
No, I think he's done. I don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. I mean, if we get him, like, cool, great, welcome back. But I won't be like doing laps around. No, he's a head case. No. And this guy is kind of he's had some adventures this summer, but it seems like he's going to be able to play. And I want to preface it by saying I'm not saying this because he dropped like 46 in the Drew League the other day. Has nothing to do with that. Montrezl Harrell. I think it's just such a good fit. Number one, it's another dog mentality guy. Number two, his best year was under Doc Rivers, coming off the bench. I just think that's, and you can get him for the minimum. I mean, he signed for the minimum, I think, one of the last couple of years, not with the Lakers, obviously. That makes just too much sense to me, especially with the familiarity.
Yeah.
But if you're not getting him, I mean, I'm not like, I know there's a bunch of people saying like, oh, you got to get Boogie Cousins. Why? So he can rupture another Achilles? Like, I'm good.
Yeah, I think Montrezl Harrell's, but what's his situation now?
My guess is if he's playing in the Drew League and like he's showing up in all these like best free agents still available, my guess is he's going to play.
I mean, what do you have to do to get in the Drew League? Just show up? Do you have to pass a drug test? Do you have to?
Yeah, I think you can just walk in.
Yeah, maybe.
He probably had 3 pounds in his car in the parking lot at the Drew League.
Yeah, like SLR, like that's why I've been like kind of just holding back on his name because I don't know if he's going to be an available citizen going forward. But if he's available, then hey, come on over.
Yeah, if he's available, I'm all about it. I love that dude's mentality and the way that he plays the game, and the city would love him and all that. But yeah,
if jail is in his future, then I'm going to have to pass. But
a felony amount in his car, so you know.
Yeah, it's a little aggressive.
Bet that you're not going to see him. I would bet that you're not going to see him.
And in that case, I'll take Bassey. I did want to ask you guys too, and I guess this goes into the offseason rankings portion of the program. Currently constructed, that is. And Tom, you and I briefly talked about it on Wednesday for like 35 seconds. Where do you guys in the chat think the Sixers stack up in the East? Currently constructed.
I think we're I think I gotta go it's a big if, like I've been saying about this team. There's a lot of ifs. If we're healthy, we're number 2, right behind Boston, in my opinion. If we're healthy, we're competing with Boston. And you know, Boston got a little bit better. Malcolm Brogdon addition gives them a half-court facilitator. I think they were running Marcus Smart at point guard.
And it was clunky. It was clunky. Yeah.
But yeah, I think if we're healthy, we're right there, number 2. Miami, I'm never like, yeah, they beat us. They beat us last season, but again, Joel Embiid was wearing a face mask and got punched in the face at half court, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never really thinking Miami's like this, you know, heat culture. Like you would think they win a ring every 2 years, the way people talk about Miami. Love Jimmy Butler. I think they have a good roster. I think they're always a threat to go far, but I think if we're healthy, we're number 2 behind Boston.
Tom.
Tom
he muted. He'll be back. Because eventually I want to do we'll go like team by team because I'm interested to see. Because again, like as we move closer to the Eagles and everything, kind of almost like a bench point of like, okay, this is the teams we're fearing. This is the teams that we're kind of sleeping on now. And then we revisit this, you know, right before the season starts. It'll be interesting to see how things change. And who knows, like if the Heat get Donovan Mitchell, maybe we'll respect them a little bit more. You know,
sorry, I had a piss. Sorry, but top three.
Okay.
Continue. Sorry.
It'll be interesting to see how it moves, type thing. I'll just stick with what I had on Wednesday. I have Celtics 1, Milwaukee 2, and then Sixers 3. I'm right there with you, DJ. Like, no disrespect to Miami and their fans, even though I don't care for either one of them, but they're always a team that I'll happily sleep on this time of year. Like, okay. Honestly, it has a lot to do with like Jimmy Butler's very good, but he's getting up there and he's due to be banged up. Not that we aren't, right? Lowry, I think, is toast. I think any trade to get him the hell out of there would be a benefit to them. Duncan Robinson was like a did not play for half the season. Hero got hurt, and now is he back to just focusing on getting tattoos now? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's good. Honestly, I think he's the biggest needle mover of that team. And also, like, listen, I know we weren't thrilled about getting this guy, but as easy as we added PJ Tucker, they lost PJ Tucker. And PJ Tucker was very beneficial to them.
He was.
Very, very. I mean,
He was.
I mean, listen, I mean, I think that's a gigantic loss. I mean, that's just like toughness is so like underrated, right? In the grand scheme of sports, like having some glue cats around, having some leaders around, it's so overlooked. Everybody looks at just like, I can talk to you from, I can talk to you from like the AAU baseball world, right? Like where, you just look at the measurables, right? Like, let me get a minute to get in somebody's head. Like, can we do an interview process? Can we see this kid's toughness? Can we see what kind of teammate he is? Because I witnessed some selfishness out there, at all ages, right? Where it becomes about me. You need some glue cats. You need some guys that we talked about that hate losing, that more than they like winning. They don't care about their numbers. They care about W's. The more guys you can get like that, you gave me 10 guys like that, I'm gonna win a lot of basketball games.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah,
Look at Toronto.
I think PJ Tucker was a major loss, and I guess I was sleeping on the Milwaukee Bucks, or I just didn't even think of them off the top of my head. But yeah, they're always up there. As long as Giannis is healthy, and Bobby Portis coming back. Drew Holiday. Who am I missing? Chris Middleton. Yeah, they're always up there. So I can't sleep on the Milwaukee Bucks. They're always a threat to win it all if they keep that whole core together and everybody stays healthy.
They, in my opinion, DJ, they had the Bucks, that is, had one of the sneakier signings this offseason. And it's really sneaky because this guy's not going to be available until around Christmas, I believe. But once he comes back, I think he's vital for them in the second half of Mr. Ingles. Yep.
Yeah, big lefty.
Yep. I think, it was such a good signing for them.
I love that guy.
And it's funny because, like, a lot of people were saying, like, oh, it's not a good signing because they won't get him until, halfway through the year to the, playoffs. And my argument is that's when you need him the most. You can get by without Joe Ingles in the regular season. Who cares? Like, you're not going to plummet without Joe Ingles. But Joe Ingles, if he is anything close to what he was in Utah, he's going to, I'm not going to say he's going to take you, he's not going to be the difference between a second round series and a third round series, but he could be that kind of glue, tight piece for a championship contender. Absolutely.
He had 5-6 threes in a game. He could get you out of a series. So, I mean, listen, I've always been a Joey guy. I like Joe. We'll see how he comes back from an injury. It's always it's always the elephant in the room there. I think Milwaukee's very good, obviously. I think Boston, as constructed, is extremely good. I wouldn't even break that up. But I'll say this. I think we go to war with Boston healthy. I don't think they have an answer for Joel Embiid. I didn't think they did last year. I don't think they do this year. I don't care about Robert Williams. I mean, I don't care. He's a good basketball player. He's physical. I get it. Yeah, good luck. But they're super talented, right? And that's sort of where you need some perimeter defense if you're trying to beat a team like that, right? If you look at Boston as your main threat coming out of the Eastern Conference, well, what do you need to stop that, right? You need some water to put out the fire, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I need perimeter guys who can get palmsy and make life hard on guys, and that's where a guy like PJ Tucker, that's where a guy like Danuel House, and that's where a guy like Matisse Thybulle can really help this basketball team. Two of them we know are going to be on the roster, but if all three are on the roster, that's where those guys can be really helpful to try to steal a series like that, because that's what you're going to need. You're going to need to score. Don't get me wrong. You got to score to win, but you got to have some guys that make life uncomfortable for that. What they're going to dish out on the perimeter. We're not even counting, the addition of Malcolm Brogdon, who will probably be hurt, every other week. But just looking at those two, I got to stop Brown and Tatum. Huh. I better have some guys who like to get dirty.
So we all agree that in any particular order, DJ, you said you had Sixers 2. Would you have Milwaukee 3 then?
Yeah, and then I'd put Miami 4.
I was gonna say, okay, so
that's how I'm gonna go.
We all have the same big 3.
I have Toronto 4.
Ooh.
I was gonna say, come up with our 4, 5, 6.
I think Miami's done. Okay, so I mean, done being like a top 4 team. You know, they might be able to squeeze in 5, 6, but Jimmy getting older just hurts them in so many ways. And I'm not saying he still won't bring it because he will. We know Jimmy; he'll bring it. But I'll go different than DJ. I'll just go different than DJ then. I'll just go.
Somebody in the chat said Brooklyn.
Casey, what am I saying? Casey, look at what I'm saying. What are you saying? I know what I'm saying. I'm calculating. I know exactly what I'm freaking saying. And what I'm saying is you're going to need some guys who can get Pomsy, right? That's all I'm saying. It's so hard to understand about that. They're not your guys. They're your glues. They're your glues. They're not the Flash, bro. They're not the Flash. You got Flash. Are we okay here? Is everybody in the chat okay? How many of you guys you think are scoring 20 a night? My goodness gracious. You got the MVP in the league. I don't care what everybody else says. All right. You got Harden, you got Maxey, you got Tobias, and Melton can score the basketball. There's 5 guys who can score the basketball. How many guys? Right, Tucker can score the basketball enough. Danuel House, we talked about his success earlier on with James Harden. Right? George Niang, right, with less minutes can maybe have more of an impact, and he's not worn down by game 890. Okay? Hey. So don't tell me what else do you need? I love the guys who want to put the NBA 2K roster together. So do I. I want a bunch of guys who can drop 20 a night. I won't be satisfied unless I have them. Knock it off.
Tom, don't you know you're not allowed to say – go ahead, DJ. Go ahead.
I got to be honest. KZ, it just comes in here. He's just – from the jump, the time the show starts, he's negative in the chat. So it's just – he hates everything. He comes in here and just hates everything.
Except for Blake Griffin, DJ. Remember that. Except for Blake Griffin.
He's the one with the Blake Griffin trade?
Yeah, that's why, I'm sorry. KZ, anytime you try to win an argument, you're already down 7-0. Because of – well, I wanted to be nice. I wanted him to still try just for –
No, I mean, don't even try. KZ, we love you here, but don't try. You already lost. Once that comes out of your mouth, you lost. I feel like you've been in a cave the last 7 years. They bring up Blake Griffin. You just got out. You're like, Blake's still available, guys? You know what I mean? I haven't been around a phone for a while or any type of internet, period.
There's not a reason for 50-year-old Blake Griffin to still be available or anything. There's no reason for that other than he hasn't been able to play in 4 years. So your 4 was Toronto. Who was your 5 and 6, Tom?
I feel like I'm going to forget somebody because I'm not there in basketball mode. But I think I'm going to go Cleveland.
Damn you! I thought you would. I
like that.
Yeah,
and I'm just not I think the Bulls Lonzo is going to be healthy, right?
Yep. Caruso.
I do like Lonzo. I like everything there, but Levine, he's a mutt. He's a mutt of all mutts. But they're tough, and they can be anywhere. Listen, the Eastern Conference is deep, right? So, I'll put the Bulls 6, and that's not to take anything away from them because I still think they're a really good basketball team. I do, I really do. It's just I like what Toronto does. I like their makeup. I like the unselfish basketball. I think that matters, especially regular season, right, guys? They got a damn good coach, even though I hate them, right? And they got a lot of toughness. And, that's why I'm going to because they made that run at the end of the year, right? After the second half, Toronto did. So
yes,
I'm really banking on that run. I'm banking on Scotty Barnes another year, and we'll see where it goes. But that's my top 6, and I'll just end it there because who cares after that? Charlotte, I don't know. Who knows?
Are we going top 6? That's what we're doing?
I was going to do top 8, but yeah, we could do. I
got to go look at teams now. I mean, I got to see what.
I'm gonna switch something up here now that Tom brought up Chicago. Because I think Chicago should have been a lot better than they were, and I think the main reason they weren't is because Lonzo Ball was hurt. I think having a traditional style facilitating point guard like Lonzo Ball just will help them out so much. Zach LaVine, And why am I forgetting the guy's name? He was dropping like 35 a game. Why am I
DeRozan.
forgetting his name?
DeRozan.
DeRozan. Yeah, those two. DeRozan was carrying the team by himself without, with Levine shooting him out of games, and he was still winning games for him. So I think adding Lonzo Ball, Caruso, a little hustle athlete kind of guy. You talk a lot about hustle guys and glue guys and things like that. I'm putting Chicago at number 4 and moving Miami down to number 5. Yeah, Miami. I said it.
Where do you guys at Brooklyn?
Unranked.
I'll go Cleveland at 6. Atlanta at 7.
Damn.
The DeJounte Murray addition. It's I don't know how it's gonna work. Trae Young is a shooting guard. I think DeJounte Murray's more of the facilitating traditional pick and roll point guard maybe than Trae Young is. Is that crazy to say? Because all he runs is pick and rolls? That's weird to me. 2 point guards, 2 pick and roll point guards on the same team starting. I get, but either way, I'm going to put Atlanta at, what was I at? 7?
That was 6.
6?
No, he's at 7. That was 7.
That was 7? Okay.
That was 7?
My bad.
Then I'll go Donovan Mitchell, New York Knicks at number 8.
Wow.
Oof.
It's a good list. I do think Brooklyn's 7 or 8. I mean, no matter how much it's blown up, if those two guys play, I don't give a shit about the third guy. If those two guys play, they'll be a top 8 seed somewhere. Too good not to be. You know what I mean? It's almost talent overcomes the rest, just for the regular season, right? Like we're talking about an 8 seed, so we're not talking about. That's why I'll give Brooklyn the benefit of the doubt. You sneak in, no play-ins, you losers.
I don't even know what. It's impossible to say what Brooklyn's even going to look like. I guess that's why I don't even have them on the list, because
I have them just floating in the middle of nowhere.
There's a guy coming back. There's a guy coming back there that I'm not going to forget about because he always strokes versus us, and that's Joe Harris. They're getting that's a big piece to that. When if Kyrie, KD, and Joe Harris are playing, you start creating space. That worries me. But I still don't have more than 8 because there's a lot of unknowns, right, boys? Like you guys just said, there's too many unknowns, but the knowns are so good. The two of them are so good that they almost have to be respectively an 8 seed until proven otherwise.
So Kyrie, somebody in the chat just said the Brooklyn disrespect is crazy. I don't think we're looking at Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and saying these guys aren't good enough to be the 8 seed. I think I'm saying I don't even know if they're going to be on the team. I don't even know what Brooklyn is right now. That's why I'm saying it.
Yeah,
they get a freebie from me until we know. Like they're 8th now, but Ryan, you circle back to me. Circle back to me the week of leading into the season. They could be 5th. Right, like if I know some things and I have some information which we don't have right now, then they can jump it, right? Like if all 4 of those guys are playing, counting the loser, right? Counting the loser, we know he's a good regular season player. So you count the loser involved in there, they could arguably be a top 4 seed, maybe even higher, because if those 4 guys are playing, they're going to be good.
If
be good.
It's not disrespect at all. Like I don't think it's disrespect to be like, hey, we have no idea how to freaking rank them because every single day they're. I'm just gonna put the third guy in there because, listen, who knows what he's thinking or wants to do or what sport he wants to play today. But it's like every friggin' third day, it's Kyrie's leaving. Now today he intends on playing with or without Durant. So what? Kyrie wants Durant traded now? Like. I think our point is for the sake of our sanity, I'm not going to try and predict what the hell that team is. I'm just going to put them on ice and be like, hey, I'll talk about you at season start because your team could look the exact same as last year, or it could have 7 new guys and 8 new picks. Like I'm good. I'll leave you over. You could wait over there in the waiting room. I'm not dealing with you yet. Because to both of your points. If the team is constructed one way, they're a top 3 seed. If it's constructed the other way, they're missing the play-in game. And it could be anything in between, depending on who actually shows up for work that specific day or not.
Well, the funny thing is Ben Simmons could play practically himself, and they'd probably be an 8 seed because of how much of a loser regular season player he is. Loser. He'll go win 48. Like right, and then be like, they got a chance to play. I'm like, bad. And then they'll give you 3 games and no points.
I can't.
And then there'll be people on Twitter defending the defensive prowess.
I can't picture the guy playing. Can't picture him playing basketball.
He's playing.
Can't picture it.
He's playing. I can already feel this out. I know how this is going to work if they
If
stay.
he wants the lifestyle, he has to. He has to get another NBA contract. He can't, unless even the Kardashians made a business out of nothing. He would have to go do something. What are you going to sell makeup, Ben? What are you going to do, man? What are you going to do?
Of his girl. He becomes a photographer with his Uggs on. Listen, I'll tell you this, DJ, right? I've been watching Philly sports long enough. You guys have as well. I'm going to tell you how this year's going to go. I can already smell it. He's a loser. He's a snake. All right. He's a kitten, little kitty cat. All right. You call them pussies sometimes. All right. Come here, little pussy cat. That's what he is. But what's going to happen this year is those guys are going to stay there. Harris comes back. Right. They're going to win a lot of regular season basketball games. And then there's going to be morons. There's going to be morons out there that say, oh, Sixers should have never traded him.
Told you he was going to ball out.
I know how this is going to go. And it's all going to be, it's all going to be dry jock numbers. Like, guys got to lift up every analytical rock to make this tweet. Like, his defensive rating with 35 seconds left in the fourth quarter. This stupid shit that I don't care about. As he walks around, averages 14, 7 and 7, and it's the same guy. All right, same guy. Hey, don't put makeup on that. We know what that looks like. No need to try to make beauty out of that one. But there's other two guys because they're so good. They'll win a lot of games with him just around. That's the sad part of it. That's why I wanted them traded, to be honest with you, because they're gonna pick up for him because those two are that good that like he can just go around and do what he does because they're gonna score the basketball. They don't give a fuck who they're playing with. Those two guys.
I could be dead wrong on this, but I still don't think he plays.
Stop. No way. No way you don't play. I'm not like saying I'm not saying stop to you. I understand the side of him never playing again. I can't. That they might as well make the 30 for 30 now. Like he's gotta play. No shot.
Yeah, he's had to do a lot of things the last 2 years. He hasn't done anything.
All right, here we go. Let's do this. This is always fun. All right, let's put a little wager on it then.
Okay. I can't believe I'm wagering on this clown. I might decline just because for the sanity of the game. Wagering
can't believe I'm wagering that he's going to play. First off, but
okay.
You don't think he's playing at all?
Not on Brooklyn. No.
Well,
I think there's a better chance he's shipped out than he plays on that team.
Forget that. Does he play at all this year? Is the question. Does he play at all this year, or does he sit another year out?
No, he'll eventually play this year, but never. I don't think he'll ever play for Brooklyn, in my opinion.
Why Brooklyn? Why is Brooklyn an issue now?
Because he's stopping them from bringing in like 17 assets because of the rookie extension thing. Yeah. So I think they're eventually, especially the longer this goes with Durant, they're going to ship him out. That way they can get a better return.
Well, hold on. This is my only debate with that.
Okay.
There's always somebody out there that thinks they can get the best out of you. All right. If this guy doesn't play for two organizations, and we talk about a year and change, that deal's nothing. You're just getting rid of money then. You know what I mean? Just to let Brooklyn know what they're getting. He's got to play for them for one, his own value, like DJ was talking about money-wise, and the value if he doesn't want to be there, right? Like he's got to go play. Honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this because I despise the guy more than anything in the world. He's playing within the first week of the regular season. There's just no way. There's no way. Like there's loser, and then there's like, are you even alive?
So this is why I thought he was going to play last season when they said he was going to play, because he should want to play in Brooklyn. Because look, you got Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Now you don't have to shoot the ball. Now there's no pressure on you at all. Now nobody cares what you're doing on the court. Just give it to Kyrie, give it to Kevin Durant, go stand in the corner in the dunker spot like you were doing for 5 years, and you can get away with it in Brooklyn. Not for that reason, A, and B, there's no fans there. So you can have a good old time. They show up in the second half, and then they leave halfway through the third quarter. You can have a ball in Brooklyn. They say there's more Knicks fans in that building than there are Nets fans. Ben should want to play for the Brooklyn Nets based on his skill set right now, his lack of development, the way that he wants to play the game, which is just rebound and pass the ball and have elite defensive stats, advanced stats, all of this, created more three-point attempts than any player in history. Yeah, if you have the ball in your hands the whole game, and all you're doing is passing it, you're going to have more 3-point attempts assisted. Anyway, he should want to play in Brooklyn.
When does he come off it? Like, I know he got back surgery. When is he? Anybody know his clearance on that?
He said he should be ready for training camp.
Okay, so he's ready for training camp. DJ, I completely agree. That's where my head's at. Like, I just don't think he'll put that. Listen, there's more pressure for him to not play. I look at it from a loser. There's more pressure for him not to play there right now than there is to play there. And that's how that pussy works. That's why I think he plays. Because it's almost like there's more eyeballs on him if he doesn't.
You know what it is too. The reason why I was so adamant, like I just don't think he's going to play.
No, fine. Be adamant about it, please. I mean,
it's because and you and I talked about a lot about this on Mondays and Wednesdays throughout before the season even started. Is that there was not 1 second of last year I thought he was playing on any team. I never thought he would suit up for us. When he went to Brooklyn, everybody's like, "Oh my God, they're going to win the finals, big three." I'm like, "You're not going to see him. You're not going to see him." And then
we all saw that, right? Because he couldn't there.
No, it was too much of a spectacle.
Well, no, because of the money he's trying to recruit from the Sixers.
Yes.
He couldn't play there. He almost had to sit out, get the air quote surgery, pay somebody off. You know what I mean? Get the doctor's records changed. See, we know this.
So I've been in the mode since Game 7 against Atlanta, where this guy's not going to play. To where it's been so long since I've had the mindset of like, oh wait, this guy is a basketball player. This guy isn't just a friggin' idiot that tries to take a paycheck and post on Instagram. So maybe it could be that. Maybe it's just like a creature of habit type thing. I'm like, oh wait, this guy might be able to play, but I'll believe it when I see it.
The case against the Sixers thing, the NBA absolutely cannot let him. I don't think he stands a chance, but I'm not. I don't know anything about the world in 2022 and what you can say and what you can't say as far as, why you can't go to work. But if the NBA somehow allows him to win that because he claimed that he wasn't mentally prepared or couldn't mentally get on the court, like that's bad for everything. Because now you can just sit out whenever you want and say, I'm not mentally, I'm not mentally ready to go to work almost every time I go there.
No,
not ready right now.
What he did, I don't know if it's going to be in a year. I don't know if it's going to be in 5-6 years.
You two pay us. We're not mentally. We can't do it.
But what Ben Simmons has done the last year and a half, 2 years, will inevitably cause an NBA strike. It will be the strike that Ben Simmons built. Again, it's just a matter of when. Because
built.
yeah. The strike that Ben Simmons built, because it's what this guy did with having 4 years of control with all of that money and then keeping a team basically in hostage mode for half of a season and all of an offseason. It's setting a precedent for, if he did that, what if I do that? And it's been a ticking time bomb, honestly, since Harden did it, right? Like that was the preview. The problem is Houston got the hell out of there quickly. And then Simmons was like, "Oh, you see this? What? Watch what I do. I'm gonna not shoot and gonna command that you pay me while I'm sitting at home doing nothing."
Simple fix though, Ryan, because you just like the NFL is the best product out there because of the salary cap, because of you having to get your roster bonuses, because of you having to show up for work, right? There's a reason why the NFL product year in and year out has so much ebb and flow to it. And it's such a good product, right? Because you have a salary cap. You have only a certain amount of money guaranteed, right? So with the NBA Players Association against the NBA, what the NBA needs to do to them is they need to put in that cap. They need to put in like roster bonuses and different things like that you'll make your money. You get guaranteed money, but you got to earn money. You got to earn money by showing up. Right, so if you're getting $60 million guaranteed, but it's a $100 million deal, we know how that works, right? We know how that can work, and I think that's where other sports make mistakes by this, right? Like the NFL's right in front of you doing it the right way. Like, do guys still sit out? Absolutely. Welcome to Diva 2022, right? But at the end of the day, like a salary cap fixes it all, to your point, right? Like that's the way to fix it. Now the elephant in the room, one of those players is worth $1 billion. So it's never going to happen. The NBA will never win that versus the NBA Players Association because one of the players is almost worth more than the league. It's one of the players, just one. I mean, the players worth more than the league is. I feel like.
I'll just throw this in here real quick because I completely forgot to give the Eastern Conference rankings. But I think what's going to cause it to get really messy eventually, whenever it is the definition of an injured player, right? Because Ben Simmons was technically injured by letter of the law. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I have a bad back. Oh, I have mental struggles, all of that. So I think what the players argue is, will you expect me to play X amount of games if I'm hurt? How is that good for me? But I think what they can do, and this is what we've learned from the Ben Simmons stuff, is the mental struggles, the back stuff, the injuries. It was ran through a team doctor by the Sixers, or at least they tried to, and either they found nothing or he did not go to the team doctor. So that's where I think the NBA has to make a change and be like, okay, if you have a torn ACL, if you have a bad back, broken hand, for you to still be, eligible for the money, you have to confirm it with, league doctors, league, psychiatry, all that sort of stuff for you to be confirmed. Like, oh, okay, you're not pulling a Ben Simmons. You're actually hurt right now. Mm-hmm. That, I think, is going to be kind of the solution to this. I think the biggest argument is, okay, how do you define a hurt player, especially in the age of load management like we've been in? Yeah. Like you could, and also it's kind of like, well, you hear this all the time, like, oh, you could argue everybody's hurt or has a high ankle sprain, in round 2 of the NBA playoffs. Like you hear that every year. It's like, okay, that could be true, but what is it being diagnosed as? Like, how is it keeping you out of games, or is it something where you're playing with it?
Right,
it's all gray area.
Mental illness, right? You're talking about mental illness. So that can't be without a couple therapists. That can't be diagnosed, right? So that's a whole different diagnosis. That doesn't come up on an MRI. It doesn't come up on an X-ray. So now you got to take words of team therapists, team docs, right? And then the players doc. You can never prove that one way or the other. So that's the biggest middle ground proof of all time.
No, but they did that. They said, okay, fine, but you're going to go talk to our psychiatrists and our team doctors, and he didn't do it. Because they would have, they'll put you through a series of tests, and they'll say, I'm not seeing the signs that I see in actual other, how many mental health cases are there? There's a bunch of different things you could be, but I'm not seeing the bipolar. I'm not seeing whatever. I'm not seeing any of it. It sounds to me like you're just saying it. And if a doctor says that, then he's screwed. So he didn't go.
And SLR, you're absolutely right. The only difference in the solution that we're talking about is in in his situation, he was still he still had a case for the money. He still had the opportunity and the right to present a case like, oh, they're keeping me from my rightly earned money. My solution and what we're talking about is, okay, if you are not going through the process of going to team doctors or all the things that you need to do, you ultimately don't have a case. It's like you can't even think about opening a case against the Sixers or Team X because you did not do steps A, B, or C. That's where it differs from, where you are right now.
I don't know if it's dangerous for the NBA. Like, I don't know if there's going to be copycats. I've never seen a player that just isn't interested in even playing. And it really tells me this when he sits out for a whole year and then he has to show up to a game and he doesn't say, look, the whole league hates me. I got legends. I got Shaquille O'Neal slandering me on TV, telling me I'm messing up the money. I got NBA legends that don't like me. Everybody hates me. I'm wearing this bright green, pink Versace outfit with the shades. I'm sticking out like a sore thumb. That guy's a psycho. Nobody would do that. You would show up in a sweatshirt and sweatpants and sit on the end. You wouldn't draw more attention to yourself. He's insane. I don't think you're ever going to see it again.
So
real quick, fair. Guys have too much. Most guys have too much competitive fire in them to pull that shit to get to this level. Yeah. That's why I agree with DJ. Every once in a while, you'll see a kitty. You know what I mean? Hey, pussycat, come here, baby. Come sit on my lap. You know what I mean? You'll see them once in a while, but 98% of these guys, they've had to work their tails off to get to where they got to.
Mm-hmm. My East rankings, at least at the moment, I had Celtics 1, Bucks 2, Sixers 3. In a way, I'm really happy, but in a way, I'm upset because I didn't think there was any chance that especially you and I, Tom, would both have Cavs and Raptors up there. So I was expecting like a 10-minute battle between us, like you trying to tell me that I was too high on the Cavs and the Raptors. But I have the Cavs at 4. I have the Raptors at 5. I've got the Bulls at 6. And then I have Atlanta at 7, Heat 8.
Okay, you guys both have Atlanta sort of getting right in the ship a little bit with the move and getting better. Okay. No, I feel that. I sort of just been out on them because I'm not a Trey guy. You know what I mean? I'm not a Trey guy. So it's been hard for me to get it in on the Atlanta train. I don't know. I'm just not like he's a volume kitty. He's Steph Curry light. And unless he's hot, he kills you. Right? It's the same thing. Like we talk about it in the Raptors series. When Freddie was playing, they stunk. They stunk. They weren't the same team. They're better without Fred because he just jacks. He has no he has no feel for the room. Like, bro, you can't go 2 for 10. You just shot me out of a basketball game. Give up the rock. Make the extra pass one time. Yeah, like, make the extra pass. Be unselfish. There's so many selfish guys rolling around this league that they have no feel for the game, the time. They're open, so I gotta go. You know what I mean? And that's Trey. Like, stop shooting from the logo, babe. That's not who you are, little guy. You're never gonna be Steph. And listen, there's guys like back in the day, like I know he's the set best shooter of all time. You know, numbers wise, he is. But there's some guys that if they played in today's league, like Larry, I mean, I'm hard pressed not to think Larry in today's league being a stretch 4 and what he does, you know, isn't winning more finals because he won a lot. He won a lot of finals. He had a good time in the finals, Larry. So, you know, but Steph arguably, like I always like to say arguably because there is a lot of great shooters. There's nobody that's been able to do what he does from the distance he's done it in. And that's when you change a game like he has, that's like almost like the AI effect in a different way, right? Like you're changing the style and how teams have to go about it. Like the NBA put a zone in the league. They put it back in the league because of Allen Iverson. He changed the game that much. You weren't stopping that guy one-on-one. He would have went to numerous Eastern Conference finals if it was one-on-one basketball. Right? Like it is today. Like if you like now you can go zones today, but like back in the day, there was a point where you couldn't go zone. You had to go man to man, and he just would chew you up. And Steph's like that. Like there's no stopping Steph Curry if he's hot. And the problem with Steph and what makes him so great is more times than not he is.
I think Trae Young, I think him trying to shoot from deep like that ruins his shooting percentage, you know what I mean? And then his overall three-point percentage is like in the mid-30s or something like that if I had to guess off the top of my head. Maybe if he wouldn't try to shoot those deep ones so much, he would have a higher percentage. And that reminded me, so I Googled it real quick, the craziest thing about Steph Curry is that he shoots better from 30 feet out and 40 feet out than he does anywhere else on the floor. It doesn't make any sense. He shoots last season he shot 46% from 30 to 40 feet.
Yeah, there's nobody who's been able to stretch the court more in the history of the NBA. Stretch the court, which is amazing to say, right? Like, you're talking about stretching the court. Like, there's nobody in the history of the league that's been able to stretch the court like he's been able to do. It's truly amazing, and being a little guy. And I think the greatest thing that nobody talks about Steph Curry enough about is he's constantly moving. So what else? The other side of it, his cardio is top notch. Because if you just, like, we all watch him play, right? You watch him play, he's constantly moving without the basketball, right? To get himself open looks, to come off double screens, right? And what he runs guys through is a gauntlet. Like that's why, like, when Matisse slowed him down, like, that's hard to do with that guy because he's running you through. You get your cardio in today? Because you are tonight. Good luck. And then the fact that he can hit you from 36 feet out. Like, I just chased this guy a country mile, and he still made that. Like, he's something special. But screw you, Sandwich. I love you, but screw you with the 28-9. Like, was his team? How good was his team? Right? What was his shooting percentage? I don't have those answers. I know his team wasn't that good. So what was his shooting percentages? Like, give me a little deeper. Sand numbers are great.
He's probably talking about the all efficient PER, player efficiency rating.
Dang, shit.
Trae Young this past year He attempted 8 threes a game, just over 38% from 3. Field goal percentage, 46%. Let's see. Yeah, 28 assists, just under 10. And then rebounds. Yeah, nothing really, like 3.
Yeah.
And a total 0 on the other side of the floor. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just doesn't. I mean, Steph Curry's arguably a way better defender than people think he is. You know, I'm not trying to compare Trey to Steph, but I'm just making a comparison. Like, the other guy gets it done on the other side of the floor, even though he's little, right? And he showed that in the finals too. So I mean, okay. I mean, that 3-point percentage was what it was. I mean, he's a good little player. That's all. Good little player. Team went south.
You feel like a lot of players, if they had the opportunity to shoot 25 shots a game, would put up those numbers.
I just do, yeah, DJ. That's where my head's always been, right? Like, it's easy to be the volume guy when you're allowed to be the guy. I'm surprised more players don't talk about that, right? Like, I'm surprised more players after their career don't come out and speak on that kind of stuff. Like, hey, real quick, just to let everybody know, if I was a lottery pick and I had the keys to the castle to be able to shoot 25 times a game, I'm going to average 25 points a game. Right? I think if more, not everybody could do that, but I guarantee half the league could. You know what I mean? Or young players in Houston or places that stink, right? That just, hey, go ahead and shoot. Shoot it up. Snoop a shoot. Let's go. I know him. So, I mean, right? Do you guys find that interesting? Like, if more guys around the league had the keys to do it, that they could get a point off of every shot per se, or at least be averaging 20. You shot 25 times a game every night.
Certain instances, yeah. I mean, the perfect example is I think you're going to see a lot of that with Tyrese Halliburton not in Portland, in Indiana. Like, that team's going to suck, especially the more, they blow it up over there. So their existence is going to be Halliburton scoring anywhere from 26 to 32, but them losing by 15, 18 points every night.
Yeah, but but my point is is he getting the 25, taking 25 shots, or is he getting 25, taking 20 shots? Like, is his numbers more? At least somebody got it. Money Mar got it. Frank the Tank when I said Snoop a shoot. Thank you, appreciate it, Frank. Appreciate you seeing me late at night. But no, I'm saying the volume guys. Right, you know what I mean? And Halliburton might end up becoming out on a bad team, but there's other guys on good teams like Utah, for instance, who's a good basketball team, a playoff team per se, and they got a guy who is just Jack City and wins your regular season stuff, but the Jack falls away. And I think there's a lot of guys who could do that. Like, if you're super athletic, right? Like, you see the super athletic guys. Like, I don't know. I'm just surprised more guys don't have a piss poor attitude after their career, in 7 years, fuck, it could have been me. You know what I mean? I should have got $100 million. I could jack 25 and give you 22.
Yeah, maybe they should. Maybe they should just come out firing.
Just great.
So like De'Aaron Fox, for example.
Don't bring on my guy. You always want to go to
Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell.
Oh yeah.
Donovan Mitchell's the prime example. What's his numbers? What's his number? How many shots does he average?
He's the definition of volume, that friggin' guy.
Not efficient. I do know he's one of only 2 players in NBA history to finish a game with 35 shot attempts and 0 assists. And the other player was Carmelo Anthony. Except Carmelo scored 62 in his 35 shot game, and Donovan Mitchell scored 31 in his 35 shot game.
Not even one dime? Not even a dime for the road?
35 shots and 0 assists.
Here's Donovan. Field goals attempted. Just guess. If anyone has the basketball reference.
24.
24. I'm on 24.
I'm on 24.
26 points per game, 23.
No, it's not that bad. 20.5 field goals attempted.
Okay.
3-point percentage, 35%, just under 10 threes a game.
So you don't feel the room already. So you're shooting 35% from 3, and then you shoot 10 of them. Don't do it for me. It means you miss 7. Sit down. Essentially, you miss 7. or round
the amount of people, like that list that came out, I think it was either this morning or last night, with like all the teams that have checked in on Donovan Mitchell. The amount of Sixers fans I saw that were not just angry, like vehemently upset that the Sixers were not on the list. It amazes me. Like I'll say this again. Like Donovan Mitchell is a good little player. Okay, I'm not even gonna say a very good player because there's a lot of things I don't like about him. People were enamored with the idea of Donovan Mitchell. Oh my God, it's a volume scorer next to a big man without even realizing you already have Harden and Tyrese Maxey on the team. Like it's redundant.
I think we were thinking you would have to give up Tyrese Maxey in that trade anyway.
But even then, it doesn't make sense with James Harden there because then you're even getting weaker on defense. And it's another volume guy who's going to shoot you out of games.
Yeah, the whole precedent of doing a deal like that is a guy buying in, right? Like if you know a guy personally, like the Sixers knew Harden, then you can buy into him buying in the big Aristotle, right? You can the big process. You can know that ahead of time because you have some inside conversations and information on a guy, right? On Donovan Mitchell, you can make a trade for him and he comes in here and still shoots 22 shots a night, right? Makes sense, guys? So because you might not have that inside information. It's all about like knowing like guys can change their stripes, right? In his defense in Utah, you should never have a game without an assist if you're a guard. You should probably get a week suspension from the league. But in Utah, like he's almost forced to have to do that too in his defense, even though he's a volume guy, because like they have guys around him, right? They don't have that guy around him.
Even with Rudy Gobert, he's not an offensive threat. So even his second star isn't really somebody that you can give the ball to go get a bucket. Rudy Gobert's not scoring on anybody.
Well, I think the problem is they butchered what they wanted, and I forget how many years ago it was. They were really hoping Mike Conley would kind of be like the perfect complement to him. Just Mike Conley's just not that guy. To where like if Mike Conley was anything close to what he was, I believe he was in Memphis before that.
Yep.
I think Donovan Mitchell. I'm not saying he wouldn't be a volume guy, but I think it would be a lot less egregious, in comparison.
I can't believe what they're asking for him. I mean, it's Danny Ainge, but I still can't believe what they're asking for him.
It's crazy. But listen to this, guys. To ride your point, early on, when Conley was a better basketball player, that volume wasn't as high.
Correct.
Right? So it's changed. To your point, it's changed as he's gotten a little bit older. Marlik, I think Jaden Springer will play when the new arena is built in Center City. That's what I'm guessing.
Marlik, I don't know how long you've been watching, but if you've been watching for a little bit, you'll get this reference. I think Ben Simmons plays before him. Okay. And if you weren't here, Marlik, I don't think Ben Simmons is playing anytime soon.
Sadly, the more I watch Jaden Springer play, the more I realize that he plays the game like an NBA small forward, but he's like 6'2". He doesn't have a perimeter game at all. His instinct is to put the ball on the floor and drive and jump into people and get an and one, and that works at the G League level. That doesn't work in the NBA. I don't see Jaden Springer playing in the NBA. I don't think ever.
DJ and Tom in the chat, like I hate even bringing up this name, and I've unfortunately I watched everything there is about Jaden Springer in the friggin' summer league, and I'll never get those hours back. By the way. There's one player I see when I watch him, and it pains me to say because I hate even saying his name, period. But it's the same guy. When I watch Jaden Springer play, it is a carbon copy of Zaire Smith. Athleticism, a little bit on defense, bouncy. How many times we see that? Oh, he's bouncy.
Yeah.
Scared to death to shoot the basketball. How many times were they in a fast break? And this is summer league, by the way. It's pretend basketball. In pretend basketball, they're in a fast break. He has a wide open shot, and he literally pump fakes it. I feel like I'm watching Markelle Fultz the free throw line. Dude, if you aren't able, forget about if you're able to make it. If you're not able to get past this mental block of shooting a wide open transition three, you are done. I will see you at the local ShopRite. Like you are Zaire Smith to a T minus the peanut stuff. Like it's bad. It's not good.
Especially at his size. You have to be a perimeter point guard. You have to be a pick and roll point guard if you're going to play in the NBA at 6'2". You just can't be a physical athlete at that size. It doesn't make sense. You have to kill people from the three-point line or you can't do anything on the NBA level.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. All right, boys. What do you got? Anything else before we sign out of here? It's a great run tonight.
That's it, man. Yeah, I didn't even realize how long we were going, man. I'm sitting here drinking caffeine. That's probably my problem.
Me too. I started to go on a double dip, and then when I start doing that, I'm like, "What are you doing?"
I'm
looking
just
for
settling
3
for the water. I'm settling for the water.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it. Just water. I mean, you'll hit our age right. You know what I mean?
All natural, Tom. All natural.
Teeth will get a little longer as time goes on. As time goes on. But no, great show, boys. Like always. Next Monday, I will let you guys know. I got a baseball tournament in South Carolina. I don't know what day I'm leaving yet, Monday or Tuesday. One last one for the road. And then I'll be doing them poolside.
I think it's fair to say, unless Sixers get Reggie Bullock or they trade Tobias Harris or something, probably the next show we do, it'll probably be Little Eagles. 'Cause 'tis the season, it's coming.
Here it comes. Will Jalen Hurts meet expectations? You know what I mean?
No, he won't. No, he won't.
I'm ready.
I'll disagree with that, Paul.
Elliott Shore Park's dry. Jock is so dry. There ain't enough baby powder in the world.
Well, you got the training camp.
He just posted last year's Jalen Hurts training camp numbers.
DJ,
not only are we tweeting out training camp numbers, he's tweeting out last year's training camp numbers. What's next? The training camp championship?
He pretty much said that last year. He's like, well, in reality, like they didn't lose a training camp game. Like, wait, what?
The private practices. It's like they went 4-0 against the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Ravens. Where'd that get us? Okay, it's great.
You really got completion percentages out. I mean, like I don't want to dislike the kid, but these guys, these losers like this, make me dislike him. Like, shut up. He's got a lot to prove, not in practice.
They're
a lot to prove in the game.
They know what they make money off of, and they make money off of selling the fans this cheerleader, this rah-rah every season. And you have to be, Jalen Hurts is going to be an MVP this season to get people to I don't know, like they like people absolutely hate the fact that I just straight up don't think he's a starting NFL quarterback. I think he's going to be a very good backup quarterback for his whole career. That's what I think. It's what I see out of it.
Agree. Great with it. Great locker room guy. Great with the the playbook in hand. Right? Leave the helmet where it is, buddy.
Yes, it's pretty simple. Like I'm not even there with like the MVP stuff. Or like, oh, he's going to be a top 10 quarterback. Do something you didn't do last year. Well, 2 things: stay in a clean pocket, don't run away like the house is on fire. And 2, if a guy's open, how about you throw it to him? That'd be nice. Since like that's all your wide receivers are going to be.
See, Money Mar in the chat. That's what I get. He said, "I'm so sick of the Hurts slander every day. Just let the kid play first."
We did. We saw him for.
Ryan,
he's not a rookie.
I'm not getting back on YouTube until Jalen Hurts plays a game because I'm not allowed to say anything about him.
What did I say last year? I know what he is. I already know. I mean, I watched him for a long time. Okay, I like watching Bama football, so I've watched him for a long time. I like watching big boy football since I don't have a team, so I try to watch big boy football. I feel like that's where the men are coming from, right? I've seen this act. Okay, great kid. I'll give him his junior year per se. This is what year we're in the NFL. I said it last year when I never believed in him. Go look at the video on HUD on that draft night. I said, would you get that's 2 gadget spinners. You went gadget spinner city. So, okay, go prove it to me. It's your junior year. I got 2 first-round picks next year. Prove to me that I don't got to use one of those picks, if not use both of them to get somewhere, to get a franchise guy. Go prove to me that you're that guy then. Time's yours. I ain't going to slander nothing before the season. I'm going to continue the same rhetoric. Here's the floor because I got the assets. I got 2 bullets in the chamber. I'm Gucci here. Either way. I'm giving you a top 10 defense on paper right now. That's what I'm giving you too. So I'm giving you 2 wide receivers that are really good in this league. I'm giving you the keys to be successful. Time's yours. That's exactly. The Eagles couldn't have drew this up any better this offseason. Howie Roseman deserves a ton of credit already. I don't like giving him credit. He literally gave the guy the keys, knowing what he's got in the back burner. It's amazing. You can't set it up any better. You can't. I love it. I freaking love it. So if he slings it, I'll chew it all the crow. I'll eat the crow for everybody in this city. If he doesn't, I'm also here too.
I just see, he's just it sucks, but he's not good at throwing a football. I feel like I've watched it enough. It is what it is. And even his completion percentage, people point that out to me. Look how many throws Devontae Smith comes back and makes an amazing catch on. Like, just completion percentage doesn't even mean it was a good ball. It means maybe the receiver made an amazing play on a bad ball. I just don't see it, man. I wish I did. I wish I saw it. I just don't see it.
DJ, rhythm. There's no rhythm. Like if you got rhythm, you make up for things. I don't care about arm strength. I don't care about all those things. Rhythm, read, react. This isn't a league where you got time to not read and react. It is too fast. You got to throw guys open. You got to have the ability to do that. If you want to be a franchise quarterback, what I consider and the whole world considers a franchise quarterback, let's start with you being able to throw guys open. Throw in the windows. Throw in the type of spaces. Did we see to throw Matthew Stafford made in the Super Bowl last year? A no look on a zippity doo dah. Did we see that? Because that's elite. That's what franchise elite guys can do. Can you do that?
It's the thing that I just can't get past again, and it's not written in Sharpie, right? It's not permanent ink. You have every chance in the world to prove me wrong or change my opinion on this, but where it truly matters, okay, and that's in the postseason, late in the postseason, okay. I think in Philadelphia, our aspirations is to get another one of the things that start with an S and end in a bowl, right? Like I think so. I don't think it's participation trophy and like, oh, let's just get us there. So we can get blown out by like 50 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when it's like, 40-mile-an-hour winds. Like the thing I just can't get past is that there is nothing in my mind from what I've seen so far that tells me that if you get in a playoff game against an Aaron Rodgers, against a friggin' Patrick Mahomes, a Justin Herbert, a Josh Allen, I can go on a lot of other names here with these quarterbacks. I just don't see Jalen Hurts winning that. And I know it's bigger than quarterback versus quarterback. It's a team game. I get that. But at the end of the day, you need your friggin' quarterback to be the biggest needle mover on the team.
Yeah.
And you better have a top, you better have a top 3 defense or one of the best defenses in a decade. You know what I mean?
And I like our defense, but this isn't the 2015 Broncos we're talking about. With Peyton Manning winning a Super Bowl when he didn't have a left arm. You're like, this isn't that team.
No. It's hard to be that, right? That's the whole point. So listen, it's on the kid. Can he listen bigger than regular season stuff? Like we just talked about the Sixers. Like you proved to me you're franchise worthy. What you do come postseason, right? That's when you really prove. Regular season is a good test for you, right? Can you show growth? But can you go in a playoff game? And listen, we got a lot of time to talk about that. So this has been fun, boys. Love doing it. This is HUD Radio, Run It Back Philly, live collab show. Never know how to say that. You know what I mean? I feel like I
gotta need something that rolls off the tongue, man. We gotta figure something out.
We gotta talk. We'll talk.
Hurts haters live.
Yeah. That's Ryan Brodo. That's DJ Eastwood. Run It Back Philly. Tom Arnone, HUD Radio. We appreciate all of you. Make sure if you listen on the HUD side, go give DJ and Run It Back Philly a sub and do it both ways. You know what I mean? Be generous with your hands. Subscribers cost you nothing. It costs nothing. And if you want to throw some fuzzles around, then throw them around. We all got memberships. Love to see y'all tonight. Appreciate y'all. We can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. Like we say all the time, you guys drive shows with the comments. You truly do. You're all amazing. It's crazy how many comments are running it back. We're running in here tonight. Look, I did a run it back. I'm so freaking exhausted. That rolled off. You know what I mean? DJ, great workout. That rolled off. Screw Ben Simmons. Jalen Hurts, time's yours.